Good morning, dear ones, and very happy Tuesday to you all. I hope you are doing wonderfully and loving yourselves to the very, very best of your ability. Remember to lead by example, because if you don't love yourself first, then who else is going to do it for you? And it's unfair to expect anybody else to do it for you when you are the best one to do it. And what we think about, we bring about. So let's bring about the best opportunity for us, each and every one of us, each and every day. So today we're doing number 11 of the 12 laws, and it is the law of rhythm. Cycles are a natural part of the universe. Physically, you can think about the seasons on Earth. In our own lives, we can remember that integration is just as important as growth. We expect ourselves to be one way all the time, whether we're thinking about our health or even productivity, but this actually is not sustainable. And we're setting ourselves up for failure if we honestly expect ourselves to be exactly the same and to perform at a certain level all the time. And this is why we look at just doing our best, because our best today may not be the same as our best tomorrow, or maybe yesterday. Yesterday we may have been so close to a meltdown that just to crawl through the treacle towards the end of the day might have been enough. And that might have been just our best to get through the day. And then on other days, we're skipping and hopping and jumping and doing flick-flacks and at the top of our game. But that doesn't mean that we didn't do our best on each of the same days. So we need to be kind and gentle with ourselves and understand that just like the universe, just like the earth, everything has a rhythm and a cycle. Life cycles, ecological cycle, everything goes in a circle, doesn't it? So we need to take the time and respect ourselves enough to take note of our inner rhythms and try to work with them instead of fighting them. Are you feeling run down? Maybe it's better to give yourself some rest instead of powering through. So we also understand that we are all 75% water. And if the moon has an influence on the tides and the water of the earth, do you think that it's not going to have any effect on you? Of course it does. So dear ones, be kind to yourself and understand also that the cycles and the seasons have a huge influence on your own personal rhythms as well. The law of rhythm states that everything vibrates and moves to certain rhythms. These rhythms establish seasons, cycles, stages of development, and patterns. Each cycle reflects the regularity of the universe. Masters know how to rise above negative parts of a cycle by never getting too excited or allowing too many negative things to penetrate their consciousness. So the idea of that is that yes, there are cycles, but we don't want to sort of do a manic sort of depressive type of cycle. Okay, I know I'm coining a phrase here, but I think you understand what I mean by that. To have this really, really high and then a really, really deep low. It's difficult to deal with these extremes all the time. And even, if you look at nature, those things that have a lot, if they know their own environment very well, it's easier for them to deal with. But if you've got things that are going up and down so quickly that you can't even deal with that, then that's not very kind to yourself. So instead of getting hideously excited to the extent that you're sort of breaking out into spontaneous I don't know, you know what I mean? And then the very, very next moment, sort of having some thought that is so negative that drops you into the doldrums of despair, it's difficult to deal with those extremes. It's easier to deal with a more even keel, okay? Knowing that there are these big things, Yes, of course, you're going to have some ups and you're going to have some downs, but this is very, very hard to deal with. So it's about trying to sort of bring a little bit of balance and squashing the sine wave a little bit down into something a little bit more manageable. The law of rhythm states that everything in existence is a dance, and that's why dancing and music are so universal. This correlates with most of the laws because we're all dancing differently in every stage of our lives. So if you don't understand something, that just means that you're not dancing at the same rhythm. Just as we have seasons in nature, so we have cycles in our lives. Summer does not follow winter, and autumn does not follow spring. There is a time for growth and a time for rest. There is a time for birth and a time for death. What goes up must come down. The tide that comes in must go out. Just as a swing goes up and down, a pendulum swings back and forth. It is all part of this law and is once again a reflection of the law of vibration, which reflects the circular motion of the earth and planets around the sun and the moon around the earth, and even the water cycle from source to sea to be evaporated and rained again. Everything is circular and everything has to have its rhythm. If you try and skip a cycle, you're going to get into trouble with yourself. If you try and jump ahead, that cycle still needs to be complete. That cycle still needs to be experienced. So if you try to jump from winter straight into summer without having a spring, then how can that new life and that new growth? And as I look out of the window, I see this really little spindly tree that looks like it's got absolutely no leaves, not one leaf on it, and it looks like it could have been dead. But as you look at the end of each of those sticks, the bud is starting to, it was very small and now it's quite big, and obviously it will be able to open and flower. And then of course what happens with that? Once it opens and flowers, it gets pollinated, and then there is either a fruit or something that becomes a seed eventually, and then that seed seeds itself, and so the cycle continues. You cannot skip a step because it doesn't work like that. So sometimes when things feel most frustrating, it is important to just remember that sometimes you've got to go through the motions. And it may be the most difficult thing to do, but feel the rhythm of yourself and understand that even you have a rhythm, the rhythm of breathing in and breathing out, and breathing in and breathing out. We all have a rhythm. Our blood pumping in a circular motion around our body, our heartbeat, is a rhythm. It's about time to find your own rhythm. And if you're finding that you're anxious and your rhythm you cannot keep up with, then you need to actually calm it down. Okay, so remember our breathing techniques from a little while ago. 4-7-8 is the breathing technique that helps with any type of anxiety. If you find that you cannot keep up with your rhythm, then you have the ability to change it so that you can. So if you find yourself getting a little bit too anxious, you breathe in for the count of 4, hold for the count of 7, and breathe out for the count of 8. Do that in 3 cycles of 3, and you will find yourself becoming back into your skin and just being able to breathe in a rhythm that is easier and is a lot less anxious, a lot calmer, a lot more peaceful. And it's important to stay peaceful. If you're listening to the news or if you're watching the news all the time, it's very, very easy to get incited by either one side or the other. And it doesn't matter which country you're in, there's always an us and them. And if it's not within your country, then it's outside your country, it's countries against each other. Folks, we get nowhere when we do not work together. And starting to work together comes from loving the self. When we understand and love ourselves, because to love ourselves is to know ourselves. When you really and truly know yourself, then you're able to love yourself. And when you love yourself, you're able to respect yourself. And if you're able to know yourself, love yourself, respect yourself, then you're able to afford that type of love, respect, and knowing for other people. Look, we're never going to know anybody else fully, but if we are able to afford that respect for other people, then it's going to be so much easier. Working together is the answer. Working together, the same rhythm and cycle, will bring about the change that we want to see in the world. So today, dear ones, breathe in and out. Be aware of your own cycles and rhythms. Embrace them, for that shows that you're one with the universe and one with the divine. And just for today, do not anger, do not worry. Be kind to all living things. Be grateful for everything you have, and work honestly and hard on yourself. Just for today, dear ones, be impeccable with your word. Do not take anything personally. Do not make any assumptions, and do your best. Make it just for today, and tomorrow is created already. So much love and light. See you tomorrow.